What's happening? Yeah, what's happening? What's that? That's it, you got it. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of What's Happening. Woo! This is the weekly web series where I fill you in on the blanks from video to video here on the BurnDown YouTube channel. So, I've been posting up a lot of content lately. I've been trying to cover all the steps on the Twinnebago engine build, not leaving anybody out that is donated to the project. Want to make sure everything has been covered. I also have a few more videos coming along on that as well, because I want to be pretty thorough in case anybody had questions. Because ultimately, once we stuff that engine in the Twinnebago, it's not like I can just show it off all the time. There's a big radiator in the way, and then you'd have to come inside. I'd have to pull the cover and all the stuff off. So we'll just cover the majority of it here. When we slam it in, hopefully I don't have to take the cover off and on for maintenance, or really to show it off for the most part. We'll just kind of hide it, set it, and forget it. But it's going to be like an automatic. It's like cooking in the microwave. You just put it in there and forget about it, and you make turbo noises and have fun. So let me just jump right into the Twinnebago updates. I wrote down a few different things so I didn't forget this time. So as far as the motor is concerned, I have it sitting right here off camera. To my right, you can't see it. I am missing a couple sensors. I think I'm going to go and rummage around for those. I looked up an IAC, and they want like $100 and something from like O'Reilly. So we ain't dealing with that. I was going to go to the junkyard, but because of recent events and all the COVID-19 stuff going around or whatever, my local engine spot where I get LS motors, those dudes are still running. It's just a minimal group of guys. I figure it's a lot better than like a big general public area. And they have all kinds of pieces and parts and manifolds, and it's essentially like a junkyard, except everything's like stacked up and condensed. So I figured I'll just go over there and rummage through their stuff. If I really can't find what I need, I will head out to the local junkyard at some point. But missing a handful of sensors on the engine, not very many. I got the manifold pretty well lined out, injectors in, everything on there. So I need a coolant temperature sensor, I need an IAC and a TPS, and I think we are good. And then I got to get a couple adapter fittings because I want to run the fuel pressure sensor off the rail. So there's an adapter fitting that's a dash 4 to 1/8 inch MPT, and I already have the sensor for that. And then the last one is the oil pressure, unless I can get like an old oil pressure and cut that and then tap it. So I may go that route, because if I can find one of those. But anyway, we need an oil pressure sensor. I have the sensor, but I don't have a stock one that obviously screws into the block because of threading differences. Whew! Anyway, a lot of jargon about sensors. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to run aftermarket oil pressure sensor and fuel pressure off of the rail on the Trailblazer SS fuel rail. So that is it. As far as hard parts go, all I have left is the trunnion kit. I have to build that because they give you the trunnion kit. I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but Crower Cams supplied me with a trunnion kit and a spring kit, so I still have to put those on. But everything else is pretty well accounted for. So minus that and some sensors, we can slap the rest of the components on and then drop that bad boy in. I'm going to put a new filter on the 480E transmission, and I got the rest of the hardware to put the pan on because we forgot to get all the hardware at the junkyard. We pulled the pan off. Actually, I pulled the pan off of a separate transmission to put it on the one that I bought, but it had the pan off. We were inspecting things, and then we got all excited, and I just forgot. I put a couple just to hold it on. We left the rest of the bolts in the dirt at the junkyard, so I got new hardware for that, but that's pretty much it. Oh, torque converter bolts. I'll have to get torque converter bolts as well. So minor stuff. It's all odds and ends. I know there's a list of other things once we get it mated and put it in that I'm going to find, but those are just things right off the top of my head. But I'd like to get the trunnion and valve springs in before we mate this and then drop it in, because everything else I can just do it in place in the Twinnebago. Then I can kind of get some of these parts out of my hair too. I can put the radiator in place. I can put the hoses and stuff on. I have to remake the radiator brace, the one that was holding it forward to back, because when I put the exhaust, I went to go fit it to put the, the cutout on. It was in the way. So I cut that thing off. So we'll put the radiator back in and rebrace that. But little stuff for the most part. It should go in. I have the Holley Terminator X Max that will be going down. I haven't wired it up. As far as the Twinnebago is concerned, the last time I got out there was a while ago. We wired up a courtesy light, so when you open the door, there's a light that shines down, then there's a light that lights up underneath the dashboard. And I put a USB port in, so it's got a USB as well as a cigarette lighter, so I've got the option for both. So as far as chassis stuff's concerned, it's pretty well good for the most part. I said I kind of buttoned some of that stuff up, but I want to put the motor in, and then we'll figure out where to put the Holley and see what kind of room we have with the supplied harness. I think it's pretty long, but anyway, we'll get to that bridge. We will cover that. So that's the Twinnebago update. We're still rolling on it. And speaking of that, the reason it's important is because literally today they announced that LS Fest West is pushed back to June 12th through the 14th, and then it's going to be at night. So any of you guys that live out here on the West Coast, been to Vegas in the summertime, oh man, it is hot as balls out there in Vegas. But I'm pretty much a part of the deal because I said I was going to take it. So if they reschedule it, even if it's in the dead of summer, my goal is to get that thing over there, even if I have to sit and bake balls in a parking lot. And I think some of my friends are still going to go. We'll just stick it out and tough it out, and everybody will be there. If you're miserable, at least we're all miserable together, and we're racing cars. Because I'll tell you what, everybody on the internet, I saw a few complaints. They're like, oh, summertime, it's too hot. Well, you could sit at home and be quarantined and do nothing, and then just bitch about doing nothing. Or, you know what, I would take drag racing in the heat right now over not being able to do shit, because that's what we're doing right now. So give me the heat and let me go racing. Whatever, I'll sweat it out. I'll drink some Gatorade. Yeah, just man up. Just whatever. I don't have AC in the Twinnebago or the freaking Malibu, so I am probably going to melt. But luckily it is at night. The funny part about that is the temperature does not change. If you've never been to Vegas in the summer, all that happens is the sun goes down. Nothing else happens. It stays really hot. I mean, I guess temperature drops a little, but a lot of it's heat soak. All that asphalt and everything just gets smoldering hot. But whatever, we're going to deal with it. So with that being said, that puts me back on a time frame for the Twinnebago. Granted, it gives me extra time, and we're pretty close. But the other thing that kind of took the wind out of my sail is obviously the coronavirus stuff. Financially, everybody's kind of hunkered down. I'm lucky enough that I have majority of the big parts for that. The only like big ticket things I'm missing are all the brake components, which I can kind of source and just get onesie-twosie stuff and collect that, so that's not too bad. And then tires are going to hammer me because I need 6 of them. And speaking of tires, I did get wheels, so we got that checked off. I don't have them in hand. They're at my father-in-law's shop in Artesia. I'm going to pick those up hopefully tomorrow. But keep your fingers crossed they fit. They should fit. Everything should be good. And they're 19.5s. And they will accept a radial. So the axles, everything underneath that can just stay as is. So very excited about that. So tires are a big ticket thing. Brakes. And then I got to register this thing. It has some back registration fees. It's not terrible. I wasn't excited about it. But it's not, you know, it's not unattainable. But those items, and then obviously after we kind of get it rolling and running, we got to jump into like the generator and the pump and the water tanks, putting paint on it, getting some shellac on the roof or whatever we got to do, seal that thing up. I was thinking maybe like a bed liner. So we're not out of the woods just because it runs and it'll do a burnout. I'd like to make it presentable and do the best job I can, put my best foot forward. So now, not only do I need to make it run, drive, and everything, I'd like to have it painted and done for LS Fest West. Hopefully keep it in one piece, and then drive that bitch all the way to Kentucky. So that is the plan with that. Hopefully it goes down. Still, it's going to be tight with financials and everything else, but at this point, I have enough time. Hopefully things kind of ease up with the whole virus thing, and we can get back to it, and I can kind of start hustling and making it happen. But we'll see how it goes. I'm going to go gangbusters, and it's still in the future a bit. We got a bit of time, so I'm relaxed. I'm not stressing and freaking out just yet. The closer it gets and the less money I have and all that stuff starts happening, the world falls in my head, I'll let you guys know because we'll be pretty stressed out. But LS Fest West is back on. We'll get back on the Twinnebago here shortly. And I'm glad they announced it too, because I started daydreaming about messing with my car and doing some other stuff, but at least they put a date out, which gives me a hard reason to be back on that 100% and kind of quit screwing with my car. And speaking of screwing with my car, I had an impromptu dyno shootout with my buddy Reed yesterday. I'm going to post up a video. I took some footage. We finally actually got to get out and have a little bit of fun, but it was the Tempest that I raced, the 65 Tempest from my buddy Reed, Turbo LS build. He had never been to a dyno before, and he wanted to get his fuel lined out and everything. So we both went because I put new injectors in the boom so I could put the 80-pounders in the Twinnebago. And I was like, well, we might as well have a dyno off and just see how it goes. So look forward to that video. Didn't go as planned, I don't think, for either one of us, but we had a good time. We'll kind of bring you along. And my camera died, and it was kind of a little bit of a fiasco, but we had fun. So that video is coming, so it'll change it up a little bit here, and hopefully you guys look forward to that. And then last but not least on here, as far as the channel is concerned, I've been on here doing this for quite a while. It's been a couple of years now that I've been kind of being consistent and taking it serious. And at a certain point, I realized, you know, there is the whole role model thing for kids and whatnot. And then, you know, you have your demographic, which majority of this, I would imagine, are middle-aged guys to older guys, maybe a few younger guys, but for the most part, we're all adults on this channel. And I'm not really trying to cater to children at all or young kids. I know I have some buddies that have a couple younger kids that watch this. But for the most part, I'm going to relax a little bit on like bleeping the stuff out and worry about monetizing and all that other stuff. Because at the end of the day, it's about you guys connecting with me and liking what I'm doing. So I know if you met me in person versus the channel is a little more PC. And then I was a little more just worried about life in general because everybody's so sensitive and all that stuff. Well, at this point, I'm just going to be pretty much 100%. I don't get real vulgar all the time, but if we drop some F-bombs or whatever is said, if it's in context, if it's fun, if it's not terrible, you know, I don't really ever want to get rude on here or anything like that. But for the most part, stuff happens. It's not a big deal. And I figure we're all adults. I don't cater to children. If you got younger viewers, you got some kids that kind of watch this and follow along, you can have to earmuff them here and there, I guess, from now on, instead of me self-censoring a lot through editing. If I feel stuff adds to it and it's kind of fun, I'll just leave it in. I don't really care. Kind of moving forward. As before, I would kind of beep stuff or whatever, and I would censor it a bit more. So, like I said, I'm not going to get outlandish with the vulgarness or whatever, but I just want to be a little more me versus self-censoring, because I think you guys get so much of that. I get so much of it. I get sick of it, and it's fun to break balls, and it's fun to, you know, just relax a bit. And then hopefully that just gives you guys a better idea of who I am, because I'm pretty much the same guy on the channel as in real life, except in real life, you know, I just kind of roll my sleeves up a bit more, and it's a little more laid back. And it's the way I explain it is I used to have a sales job, and I have like tattoos. Well, they don't go all the way down for a reason. It's because they have to wear long sleeves and collars and go to work every day. And I'd always feel like I have to cover all my stuff up, and then you go to work and you're doing some job, but you're not really you. And I would change up the clientele I would sell to so people knew who I was. It wasn't a big deal. But you go back to the office and you still have to look a certain way. And all that stuff's kind of bullshit, honestly, because you're not really being you, and then it's weird and you go to work all day. And I was starting to feel like that on here, that I'm not fake, but I wasn't really 100% because there was some self-censoring and stuff. You're like, oh, I should just edit that or cut that because I don't know. You know, I didn't want people to cry about stuff. But at this point, I don't really care anymore. We're just going to let it fly. I don't really care about the monetization stuff or whatever. I mean, it is really pennies and peanuts. It's not anything to write home about. I think I saved up a little bit more money in there, but ultimately it's not really the destiny of this channel. It's not buying me equipment and used part or speed parts or all that stuff. You guys have been way more over the top, you know, giving me stuff and donating stuff. I've had a few sponsors jump on board and then give me some items and things. But ultimately, if we have sponsors and people that can't handle adults being adults, then whatever, you know. We're here to have fun. This whole channel is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be work. I'm not supposed to feel like I have to put on some costume to jump on here and talk to you guys. And if I can't feel comfortable and be myself, it's really not even worth doing. So we're going to let it fly. Hopefully have a little more fun, talk a little more shit. And yeah, I'll just cater to my demographic, which is pretty much older males, like 100%. I don't think there's like any women. If you are female and you watch this, leave a comment. And I bet there will be 0, because I don't think I have any. Besides my wife, I force her to watch all my stuff for the most part. but she doesn't watch it after it's live. She watches like the preview. So I don't even have her as a viewer technically. Anyway, that's pretty much it. So I hope you guys stick around, stay tuned. We're gonna jump back on the Twinnebago. I'm behind on videos. I got like 2 or 3 or something in the pipe right now, so I'm just gonna start spitting those things out, and then we'll be filming all weekend, hopefully getting some things done, and we'll see how it goes. I don't want to say what I'm gonna do on the Twinnebago because at this point I don't know. I'd love to stab the motor in, but from this point, like I said, I gotta get springs and do some other stuff before we can even get that far. So it might be a wild goose chase in the apocalypse, trying to get my race parts, trying to make the LS Fest. I'm out of here.